Episode 83 from everyone. I'm here with Josh. Is Boucher of Bearing Point. Mr. Bass player, not guitar player, as I originally accidentally asked
Bass player, not guitar player.
Has it been bass your whole life?
No, I played a little bit of guitar.
Okay. I feel like everyone kind of starts with a guitar and then finds their way into like the rhythm of bass.
So I actually started on bass.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I picked up bass because like my brother played guitar and like I'd always fiddle with his guitar, and I'm like, I want to play an instrument, so I'd play bass. It only seemed fitting because he had all his friends played drums and stuff. So I'm like, I'm the odd man out. Let me pick up this instrument, and I like it.
Join the family band.
But I never actually jammed with my brother.
That's funny. Okay.
Which is funny. So, after picking up bass, it just came naturally to me. So like picking up a guitar was easy. Picking up like playing like simple stuff on drums I can do, a little bit of keyboard. My whole musical career started, however, in fourth grade playing the trumpet. I'll
get to the trumpet in 1 second here. Josh plays bass in Bearing Point here. So Bearing Point has a new single out called The Eighth Circle. It is streaming everywhere. It's out everywhere. There's a lyric video out that is very cool. So before you get into anything, yes, go do that. I know Bearing Point. Do you guys have any shows coming up?
We do. We have 3 shows booked going into next year.
Beautiful. Sorry, I usually ask people about this beforehand to give you a minute to like collect the dates and band names. So pause for a second now. Let some of that accumulate.
The first one is in December, probably going to be our last show for the year before we, move on. It's at the Webster Underground. It is Vomit Forth, No Cure.
Huge.
There's another band on there, Conquering something. Hold on, I'm going to check my notes real quick.
Beautiful. Pull that up. Vomit Forth are friends of the show. I did a music video for them a while ago. And they've been on here, or some of them have been on here a little bit.
Cemented in Fear.
Beautiful.
And that is Sunday, December 15th at the Webster Underground.
Beautiful.
That is we just booked that show, so
hell yes. Are you expecting pre-sale? Are you expecting to have tickets to sell?
Yeah, I'm expecting. I mean, it's like a month and a half in advance, so I'm expecting us to get tickets for sale.
Cool.
I'm not sure how much they're going to be yet, but hit us up.
Cool. I'm going to guess they're $23. This will be out next week, so I might be right, I might be wrong. I don't even know by then. But yes, they'll be $20-ish, give or take 5 or 10.
It's probably around like somewhere between 18 to 22.
Beautiful.
That's, the average.
Beautiful. And of course, save the service fees, go to the boys, support the homies, make life better for them with Webster.
Yes.
Help them play not at doors so that it can be a little better.
Save yourself money and buy from us.
Yes, support the homies, make life better. Beautiful. Okay, Bearing Point has a new single, Life's Good. You mentioned you started bass at 4th grade. I don't remember what you said.
Well, I started music in 4th grade.
All right, cool.
With the trumpet.
I actually didn't. The boring stuff out of the way. Let's go right into the fun stuff here.
I actually didn't pick up bass until I was 12 years old.
Damn. Okay.
That's when I first was noodling with like my brother's music gear, and I was like, I want to play an instrument.
Wait, is that the 4th grade thing, or is there a 4-year-old thing? Or am I conflating the two horribly here?
4th grade is when I started music with trumpet.
Got it. Hell yes.
12 years old.
I started with cello, so yeah, same shit. You just got to pick something.
That's a hell of an instrument to pick up.
It was the size of me.
Anything like cello and violin, I have a hard time with because it's super tight string spacing. Like I tried to play mandolin for a little bit. Mm-hmm. My mom had a mandolin that I ended up taking from her because she wanted to learn how to play and never did.
Like a mini, what is mandolin? It's like not a mini guitar thing. It's like a ukulele.
It's like a double course ukulele in a way.
Okay.
I think it's tuned differently than a ukulele.
Interesting.
But the neck is so small on it. It's either the same size or like a little bit smaller than a violin neck.
Okay.
And it's 4-string, but it's double course, so 8 strings, and it's just really. You have to have like really tight fingering for that if you're playing on there. And I could never get it. I always wanted to play it like a guitar, and it never worked out for me. So
that was the best part of cello was flipping onto your leg and playing it like a guitar.
Yeah, it's like School of Rock.
Yep.
it's like a cello. Cello. He
exactly
flips it on.
That move. Yep. It was that, and then my other claim to fame on cello was that I always hated it, and I just didn't want to do it. And so in 8th grade, I learned that we got new bows, and I just didn't put rosin on my bow. So all year I just played without rosin my bow and didn't make a sound. And it was just the best, like stress-free. Like it can't be my fault. If someone's out of tune, something's wrong. Like my bow could be out of time, but as long as I'm in the right like stroke pattern or whatever, life's good.
You look like you're playing it, but no sounds coming out.
It was beautiful. It was really like an evil genius moment in my life. Like, oh, I really think I figured this out here.
I wish I thought about that when I was playing trumpet. Just look like I'm playing the trumpet,
were
but
you
not
like
actually
a
do it.
good trumpet student, or were you like me trying to like find a way not to
I
play it?
only did trumpet for a month,
Oh,
and
damn,
then
okay.
I didn't like the playability of it because it's a lot of like lip work. So you're like pursing your lips, and it's a lot of muscles like right here.
Sure.
And they would cramp up on me.
Interesting.
And I just don't have the patience for things like that. Like
Okay.
I either get something like right away or I don't.
Okay.
So trumpet, I was like, I don't like this anymore. I want to play piano, and then I wanted to play drums. And I lived with my aunt at the time. We lived in an apartment, and my aunt's like, "You're not playing drums."
How did you play trumpet? I feel like that's already a stretch. Like,
It is, but I wasn't a loud trumpeter. So because I had just picked it up, it's a month in. I decided to quit, and my uncle used to play trumpet, so he ended up taking over my trumpet, and he still has it to this day and plays it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it was like worth keeping. I feel like the trumpet you would get for like a 1 month in.
Well, I mean, it's band equipment, so you buy it from like whatever band company the school has a deal with, but they're like $400.
Okay. Damn.
So even a $400 trumpet is kind of in a decent realm. It's no like $1,500 instrument because for some reason band like ensemble instruments are wicked expensive.
Yep.
You could go and buy like a $1,500 violin, say, and even that's like a low tier violin. Mm-hmm. So it's like
paying for the antique thing is my understanding with string instruments are like horns the same way.
I don't know. It was so long ago. I don't know.
My memory of like the string instruments is when you're buying like a $10,000 violin, it's from like the 1800s or something. So all the wood
it's like a Stradivari
something. Yeah.
Like it's 100% perfect and doesn't go out of pitch type deal.
Yep.
Which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
Like in the 1800s, they had that kind of technology to make something so perfect that it doesn't go out of tune. And then you have to tune your instrument every so often because the weather makes the neck bow a little bit.
Yeah.
It's wild. Instruments are a wild thing. It's a love-hate with them.
Sure.
But
so then the love part also continues. Yeah. So in 4th grade, we get the trumpet. We quit it after a month. We go into piano, I think you said was next?
I wanted to go into piano.
Okay.
My aunt wouldn't let me. Because I quit. It was either trumpet or nothing. And I really didn't want to do trumpet. So from 4th grade, what are you, like 8 years old in 4th grade?
Yeah.
So
what are you listening to at this point?
What at that time period? I was thinking about this today because I was looking back at like old music I listened to. At that point in time, I was listening to like Green Day's Nimrod album.
Hell yeah.
The Wallflowers.
Okay.
Creed was just coming out, so like we listened to Creed. One of my big albums that I had on constant rotation when I was that young was the Godzilla soundtrack. The one with Matthew Broderick.
Okay, yeah.
That one, it had like P. Diddy on it and like
shout out. He's
all
doing
that.
great right now.
Yeah, he's not. Oh man. But no, that album was a really good album for me. Like listening Goo Goo Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of like soft and like alt rock type stuff. Even like listening to like Green Day was pushing it because like my aunt's kind of Christian.
Sure. You're right at like the crest of the slippery slope. Like for me, it was like Good Charlotte and like then Linkin Park, and it's like I'm starting to go down this basic beginning bunny hill, and it's like okay, next I'm going to look for mountains and
So like we like I lived with my aunt and uncle, my cousin, so we'd get CDs, and my aunt would read through the lyrics first and tell us what songs we could and could not listen to. So like There's like,
So she
like,
highlighted the songs that you were going to listen to.
yeah, pretty much. She's like, don't listen to these. Okay, cool. We have headphones.
Start there. Yep.
You know, put it on low. This is what I don't get to listen to. But like,
It's so beautifully innocent of her.
yeah, it's like we're gonna do this anyway.
Yeah.
Eventually, because I lived with her for several years, so eventually, like, she just was like,
She knew.
"You're gonna do what
Yeah.
you do," you know. You know, and from there, like, moving into like middle school, like I shifted into like much heavier stuff from there. So like a lot of new metal, you know.
Okay. Hell yes.
The Slipknots, the Mudvaynes, Korn, you know,
Classics.
all the anything that was new metal that I could listen to, I would listen to.
Yep.
Mudvayne being my favorite out of all those because obvious reasons. One of my biggest influences is Ryan Martini, and I don't play anything like him. The man is perfect. I can't say anything bad about his playing. I don't think anyone could say anything bad about his playing. But just the way he plays and like the things he comes up with are insane.
Hell yeah. Damn. So
it was a huge jump. Let me tell you.
It seems like got deep real fast there.
Yeah.
And then never looked back. Yeah.
So
That's fun.
yeah.
So hang on. So we're playing piano. I guess my other question here was like, as you're starting to get into like Mudvayne, like the new metal, is the aunt and uncle, the family, are they supportive of this? Are they are they already listening to like Metallica? So is this kind of normal, or is this like what the hell?
So
what else
like
can you get into?
No.
Okay.
So my family, big Christian family, they listen to like my grandparents listen to like Conway Twitty and like the Statler brothers and my aunt listened to like Connie Francis.
So Mudvayne's a real shock to the household.
Yeah. But in my defense, one of my cousins lived with us for a little bit and he listened to like Metallica and Korn and stuff like that, Rage Against the Machine. So like it wasn't like just a huge leap of faith into a different style of music that from what I was listening to. It was like, oh, I'm hearing this from my cousin. I'm going to check out some other stuff.
Okay, so he was the bad friend who got you into this.
He was the catalyst.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, you know, I got into that metal, and then in high school was a totally different beast because I started branching out into like other music. That's, you know, where like I started listening to a lot of black metal.
Okay.
Black metal.
Are you playing bass yet at this point?
I'm still playing. I'm playing bass.
Okay.
I picked it up in middle, like end of middle school.
Okay. Hell yeah.
12 years old, and I just noodled with it. I wasn't taking it serious. I didn't take playing bass serious until high school, around 17, 18 years old. So I had it for like 5-6 years before I actually got serious with it.
Hell yeah. Okay. How'd you first get it?
Oh, my mom knew I wanted to play, so
Shout out.
we went and got she asked me what I wanted, and you know, I'm looking at like what's on the used wall, what, you know, I'm playing a bunch of different things, gravitated quickly to Ibanez stuff, which I still play. I go back and forth between what I like, because I like to try stuff. So I'm always playing new things, getting rid of stuff, trying new stuff, getting rid of that, going back to old stuff, trying new stuff. I enjoy music gear. It's one of my biggest vices. People will shit on me all the time because I'm always buying, selling, trading. But in my defense, I have a plethora of knowledge on different basses, guitars, amps, etc. So if you got questions on bass stuff, feel free to ask me because I probably have an answer for you.
Interesting. Are you also like fixing them up? Are you like buying buying low, selling high kind of thing? Buying low,
sometimes I'll find like a good deal on say like a Fender P bass or something.
Okay.
You know, and it's it looks rough, but it's just like loads of dirt and dust and grime. So, you clean it up, give it a setup. It looks brand new. I could flip it for like 100 or two.
Sure.
So I do that sometimes. It's been slowing down a lot. I'm trying to get my forever rig so I can stop buying, selling, trading.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, you're gonna sell it in like a week. But you know what? Right now it's
How long's it been? How long is this like current rig been running? How
6
long is
days.
their last accident? 6 days.
Yeah, so
Oh no!
I
won't even make it to the release of the episode next week.
So last week I had off. It was nice because we had the show on Sunday, and I took
Yes.
the week off because I have a lot of PTO time that because I never take PTO time. My boss actually, she was like, you have 15 days of PTO, use them.
Yep.
So I took last week off. I'm taking the end of this month off.
Good for you.
So, and then I get to roll over 5 days. So,
Okay.
woo. I'm probably going to end up waiting till the end of the year to use the 20 days now that I'll have next year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I had last week off. Wednesday, I brought in a bunch of gear because I had a mindset. I was like, I know what amp and cab I want to get. I have an idea of where I want my sound to go. So I went, traded in a bunch of gear up in Massachusetts because I go see my buddy. I like giving him the business. So I went up to Massachusetts, nice little like 4-hour trip for me. Like hour and a half there, hour and a half, just hanging out, hour and a half back type deal. I got a good chunk of money back from all the stuff I traded in. And then Thursday, I was scrolling Marketplace. I had already bought a used head off of Guitar Center's website.
Okay.
And I was like, because this is the head I want. Like now, I just got to go find the cab.
It won't mean anything to me, but what was the name of the head for someone listening?
So the amp I bought was an Ampeg SVT Classic.
Okay.
Tried and true classic tube head. Heavy, everyone knows it.
What, like, year-ish is this from?
So I don't know the year. I just got it off the website.
Is it like a relatively new piece of equipment? Is it like from the 90s? Like, do you have any sense of like
it was a used piece.
Okay.
So, but probably like a 2000s. It was a Chinese made, not an American made.
Cool.
So
okay.
I ordered that, and then I go searching on Marketplace, where I spend the majority of my time. And
Beautiful Marketplace.
yeah, I was looking for the matching 6x10 bass cabinet for
Okay.
it, which they don't pop up a lot. And when they do, people jack the price on them because they're nice. They have a good sound, and they're not quite as big as the 810. So I was like, okay, I already spent $1,400 on the head. I'm gonna spend another $600 on the cabinet, $700, whatever. And I'm scrolling, and I found this guy in Poughkeepsie, New York, with a it's still in like brand new condition. It was the Ampeg Heritage series, which is their US version of the same head that I had already bought. It was the head and the 8x10 cab, both in perfect condition with the covers on them, which are like an extra like $200 to buy. And he wanted $2,000 for the whole thing. And I was like, I messaged him and I was like, hey, I'll give you $1,700 for the whole thing. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Bring cash. So I went and got that, and I'm wondering, like, great, now I have to figure out what store I ordered this Ampeg from so I could cancel it or just wait for it to come in and return it. Well, Friday, they call me and they're like, hey, so we found that head that you ordered and someone removed the back plate on it and it doesn't power on. They're like, we could help you get something else or we could cancel the order. I was like, thank you, because I was trying to figure out how to cancel my order because I found a better deal. So it's almost as it came into my hands.
Hell yeah, okay.
I saved money by
Definitely.
going and getting this rig versus buying the used rig that I thought I was going to buy. So I have a couple hundred in my pocket. So that's always nice, you know. Who doesn't want a little extra cash in their pocket?
For another pedal or something.
Yeah. But
Is this like the dream rig? 'Cause it's been like on the to-do list for a while.
so I've had this same rig in like their, so they have like, it's kind of like tiered. There's like the Ampeg SVT Classic, which it used to be made in the US, now it's made in China. The Heritage is made in the US now. So it's like now I have the whole US version. I used to have like the Chinese version back in like 10 years ago. And it was big, bulky. I had a small car at the time. I had a Honda CRZ, which is the little two-door hybrid coupe.
Yep.
And it fit in there, but I
Barely,
couldn't fit
yeah.
anyone else in there. You know, it was just me and my rig. So I got rid of it.
Which is kind of all you need. But
Yeah. My gear never lets me down. But yeah, you know, I had the little car and the big rig, and I was seeing someone at the time, so I got rid of the gear. I wasn't playing in a band. But then I was like, I was looking back at like old bands I was in, and I'm like, all my best tone came from this amp. Like, I should probably just get it and dial it in and stop buying and trading gear.
Okay.
It's heavy, but luckily at our practice space we have a freight elevator,
Yep.
so it makes life a little easier.
Sure.
I
Most
don't
of
have
the
to.
venues probably won't have one. You can
Yeah, I
pay
mean,
for it there, but at least on the practice space,
Yeah.
it's taken care of.
yeah, I mean, I don't have to drag it upstairs to bring it back to the studio after. I get to just put it up on a platform and you know, elevator it up to the
Sure.
second floor. But I mean, lifting it up now, like it's almost nothing compared to like back when I used to have it, because like, so like I work at a brewery. I was a delivery driver. Now I'm warehouse operations, but the majority of what I do is lifting kegs and bringing them down.
Okay,
It
so
was bringing them down into
Yeah.
basements.
Yeah. Okay. So
And,
the 8x10 is familiar.
Yeah,
The
so
6x10, whatever you said it
it's the 8x10's actually like the weight of like 1.5 half kegs.
was. Okay. Yeah.
So it's like I've been conditioned, because I did this for a year and a half of bringing kegs up and down stairs for bars and
That's
restaurants.
like the only good load-in training ever. One of my buddies.
it's the best load-in training.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the same movement, so
Yep.
it's working the same
Yeah.
muscle groups.
Yep.
And I was like, this is awesome. This thing feels lighter than I know it is.
That's funny. Yeah. That's a great place to be. I think everyone else sees those cabs and has nightmares about trying to move it and do anything with it. And
Yeah, there's always, you know, this thing is the size of a fridge and going up and down venue stairs. I'm like, yeah, I could just.
I haven't
wheel it right
toured
up.
a ton, but one of my few like load-in memories from tour is that we get this day and it's raining, and it's one of those days where the load-in is up to like a third floor and it's through the fire escape. So
Oh
just
my
like this
God.
outdoor like metal sketchy ass set of stairs. And we're in like still somewhere in the south, and it's like southern downpour, like torrential, like rain that like just doesn't happen up here that I'd never seen before in my
Yeah.
life kind of shit. And I remember being like, thank God I get to edit. Thank God that 8x10 cab is not my problem right now. Because it really like put into perspective what bands do every single day, that I've just been fortunate to miss that part of the journey. It was a real eye opener of like, damn. Yeah.
Dude, doing anything in the rain sucks. Like, I love the rain. I love listening to it. I like being like on a enclosed porch, hearing it and feeling like that cold wind. But dude, moving stuff in it, it's a nightmare.
I had a video recently, and we were filming in this like community center type thing, and they wanted me to leave the key inside the building. And to me, that was like, well, shit, how am I going to lock the doors from the outside? I have to leave the key inside. Like, this creates an issue to me of like, I can't be in both places at once, and they're whatever. So I had to go out through the window.
Oh my
Which
God.
was like whatever.
Sketchy.
I'll 100% leaving crawling out the window of a community center at like 9 p.m. is like, oh, he definitely just robbed the place kind of optics. Like I felt criminal doing it,
Yeah.
but obviously I was fine. I was supposed to be there. As I'm crawling out, the reason I bring this up is because it was like pouring down rain. So I've loaded out all my shit. I'm already soaking wet. I step out, right above me is like the gutter, and it just like folds. It just all like the like
God.
a tarp roof kind of thing just all comes right down on me. And it was like, well, fuck, this is gonna be a long drive home, just soaking wet. And it was pretty upsetting. But when you're talking about loading in the rain and how bad everything is, like, oh fuck,
Dude, I would have been so mad.
Yeah, and it's like, what else can I do besides getting at that time I got a brand new car. It was like a month after I got my new car. So it's like, what else can I do besides drive home? Like, I'm not gonna go to a Target and like buy, like, all I can do is go home.
Dude, I remember when I was still doing delivery, it was raining so hard, like just loading up my van.
Yeah.
With like, I have like this, it was like this big Sprinter van, so tall, and we have like this little loading dock thing, like lift to equalize height and shit. So just putting like a pallet on there, it's not far, but I was drenched head to toe, and this was like starting my shift. And luckily I live like a mile and a half away from my work, so it's like I after that I went home and I changed. I was like, I need dry clothes for this today.
Yep.
But dude, I was so mad.
Yeah, rain will really ruin your day.
So, yeah, dude, rain is a son of a bitch.
I don't even know how we started talking about rain at this point. I know, whatever. Life's good. We're talking about your bass journey. I think we just about got to it. We got through high school. We got through Mudvayne. We got, Christian family doesn't always love that Mudvayne's coming to the house, but I think it was a cousin got us into it. Beautiful. Where's Bearing Point started this? So at some point, I guess maybe the first question is, what is your first band start through all this? And
so the first band I played in was in high school called Awkward Ending. We were a pop punk band. The guitar player was really into Sum 41.
Knowing where you are now, knowing you started in pop punk is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's about,
It's wild because that was my first band, and
Jesus. That was so loud in the headphones.
Yeah, he's over there scaring himself.
Yeah, Jack jumping off a chair. Life's good. He has made more appearances on this podcast than maybe I'm first place and he's second place. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, he is involved in just about every episode.
He needs his own segment.
He does. Yeah.
But yeah,
he makes his own segment every time, I guess. So.
But yeah, no. In high school, like going from like listening to death metal and black metal to going into playing pop punk, it was like a whole different world, because like that was around the time I was expanding like what I listened to and stuff.
Sure.
So
and I think it's like an entry level like black metal. There's also like a taboo about being a pop punk kid. Like I think the traditional trajectory for someone in that is like, those kids are fucking losers. We're way better than that. We're in black. Yeah.
I mean, dude, I was in high school from 2003 to 2007, and at that time it was very cliquey.
Sure.
So it's like anyone who wears
people are cliquey. Yeah.
So it's like, you got your kids who wear like the trip pants, and we wore band tees, and we had black hair and shit like that. We'd paint our nails black. And then, which is funny because I don't do any of that anymore.
Sure.
But then like all the kids that wore like Abercrombie and Fitch and like Hollister, those were the preppy kids.
Those are Bad Omens fans right now, by the way. But.
Yep. Which, funny enough, after high school, I branched out. I started wearing like Abercrombie and stuff. So like this brings me to like my next band. I played in a metalcore band after that.
Okay, now we're getting better. Yeah.
So I played in a metalcore band called When All Is Lost, and I would wear like basketball shorts and Hollister shirts and play bass. There would be
early
people
Prada,
there would be people who came up to me and be like, I've never seen a kid wearing Hollister playing metal. That's so cool. Like, so it gave people like something to relate to, which was cool. But it was also like becoming a trend. I had like big ears and fucking, the preppy kind of jock look going on at that time.
Hell yes.
And then from there, like I played in a couple bands, just like a show here and there. I did. There was this one local band called Lucian, and they were kind of like an experimental type band that were pretty big around here. They were big into like Circuit Survive and like Coheed and Cambria, but then they were like hardcore kids. So it made for an interesting aesthetic, and a lot of I know probably like a lot of like the older crowd, like my age, give or take like a couple years, will probably remember them. Shout out Lucien, they were dope band. That is still one of my favorite local bands to have like I've ever gotten to play in or even seen. I did a couple shows with them filling in. I did like half a show with Kanan's old band, Beneath the Gallows. So like I joined and I was still learning the songs. So I only had like their intro and like one song down, and they had a show and I played it with just the songs that I knew.
Did you just walk off stage after the first 3 songs?
Yeah, pretty much. And then
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah,
I've been to so many shows, so many local shows.
I don't like playing stuff I don't know how to
Sure.
play. So like I know there's people who would have just like mimed the rest of the set.
That would, or guesstimated it. Where even if you don't know it, I would bet that you could have played 85% of it or enough to like keep the show on the road.
Probably, but if I can't play it 100%, I don't want to play it.
Interesting.
We had a show at the waterfront, same band, Beneath the Gallows, and Kanan still makes fun of me to this day. I brought my gear and I set it up, but I didn't play the show. And it was with like Stray from the Path, Upon a Burning Body. It like before they were big, they were like up and coming bands.
Yeah.
And he makes fun of me still to this day for not playing it, and I get it. But like again, like morally, I like to be able to play the music 100%.
Interesting.
But there was that band that I did a couple of shows with. I've done some like recording between like doing bands.
Sorry, I need to go back to like your like playing stuff 100%. I feel like it's like really noble. I was like trying to think of like what I would do in that scenario if like I was not confident going into something. And I think as I look back in my life, the answer is that I just faked it. I was like, it is more important to be like to prove to other people. It was more important for me at the time. I felt it was more important for me at the time to prove to other people that I could do this thing rather than it, like stepping back and be like, no, I'm not ready for this.
Yep.
And I think that has probably done me well in a lot of scenarios where like it is for me personally, like definitely like anxiety has been like where I think I can't do it. It's because I'm anxious more so than I have a genuine thing. So I think for me, it's been very valuable to go through that because it's like, yeah, if I backed out of everything that voice in my head said I wasn't good enough for, it's like I wouldn't have done a single thing by now.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been a moment or two where I look back and it's like, yeah, I probably could have waited until I was more ready for that.
Yeah.
And I did it. I chose to just do it and be like, I want to prove, maybe by doing it, I'll prove to myself I could be here. And I think, there's a real nobility and be like, no, I'm not ready for this there.
Yeah, there have been times, like, the saying is fake it till you make it.
That's been my life's motto. I feel like
And
that's gotten me everything I have in life.
For me, I like, which is probably why I'm still, playing locally, which is fine. I enjoy playing locally because I'm home at a reasonable hour to go to sleep. But I like to prove that I can do it.
Yep.
There have been bands that I wanted to try out for, and they'll send me like their tablature and I'll listen to it and I'm like, I could play most of this, but I cannot play it 100%. And I'll be like, hey, I can't do this.
Interesting.
I've done that with several bands, a couple of which were, signed. I mean, one's not a band anymore. Rest in peace. Years since the storm. Love those guys. Nice dudes. But the other one just got signed. And it's like, I probably could have done this, but also the bass player that you have now is super dope. And like, I try to keep my focus like with Burying Point, like 100%. Cause I do a lot behind the scenes with that band. I don't play like the most technical bass lines in it. It's not what the band calls for.
Yeah.
It's really just keeping that low end heaviness, because all we want is ignorant heavy riffs for people to beat each other with, and
which is all we got for you guys. That's why we love it. Yeah.
If I'm noodling around on bass, doing like these elaborate bass fills, like it's going to take away from the heaviness.
Sure.
We're not Archspire
Sure.
by any means. But you know, there are some places like that, like in the new song, there's a break where it's just kind of like these strumming chord patterns, and on the recording I just follow the strum pattern, but in live settings, like I do like this little fill on it, and I do that specifically for live because you know it's a little added bonus to live shows. A lot of people like to play, you know, their shows exactly how it is on like recorded.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, you got a lot of people using in-ears and using backing tracks and making sure everything is perfect. But we like to play tight, but we also like those nuances. I personally feel like that's something that's missing from music. Like you used to see it a lot in the 70s. Like they'd be in the studio doing like recording an album, and you'd hear a stick fall in the background, and it adds like a layer of depth to that song. And a lot of places will keep it in. Some of like the craziest little accidents that happen during recording is like, you know, what makes a song kind of unique. And I like having that translate into a live setting where it's like, yeah, you hear us on record, we sound just as tight as the record, but here's a little something for you guys live.
I've got the same thing with camera stuff. The equivalent there, the analogy that came to my mind is like with green screen stuff.
Okay. So
when you film the green screen, you make the background, and when you put the person in the background for the first time and like composite this image together, it always is like way too clean. And it's this bizarre thing where the last step of green screen, what I've learned is the last step of green screen is going back in and it's adding more blur to stuff. It's adding like aberrations that a camera would have, that real life would have, that the digital thing comes out too perfect. And it's kind of a similar thing to what you're saying, is that it ends up almost being distracting because it's so clean. And by going back and basically adding in mistakes and imperfections, it then becomes palatable, and like you can accept it as a thing you've seen. It feels familiar instead of feeling just sterile and clean and too perfect. Yeah. And it sounds like it's the same thing. Yeah, of course, through a different medium, but it is, a really it's a part of my process I think I put a lot of thought into, where it's like it's the last 2%. It's like a very much an end thought, but it is feel very impactful of like I intentionally go back in and do the equivalent of adding in a drop drumstick.
Yeah. And like I've noticed that with like watching videos with like green screens on it. So let's say like you're putting an image in the background and you have like, you know, live in front, and the live is like kind of like blurry compared to like the picture perfect background in the green screen, and every time they move you see those pixels moving like in their outline, and it's like just take a little time to kind of make it match. It's like Photoshop. Like I make memes of these guys all the times doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and like I try to make the
every good band chat has them.
You know, I do it a lot. Mainly it started with Freddie like years ago when we were doing Deer Slug. I started photoshopping him into pictures. I turned him into Hagrid one time. I made him Ed, and Eddie.
I would do anything to see Freddie as Hagrid. I'll take you up on that later. Yeah,
I'll show you after.
Sure.
But if I could find it, it's been like, it was probably like 2017 when I did that. So it's buried somewhere.
Sure.
But once I come across it, you'll see it.
Sure.
It's awesome. I love it. But like you got to make it blend. You know.
It's always the hardest part, and it's fascinating.
It is.
Because it's something that I didn't do for a while, and it was like, why doesn't my shit look the same way that I want it to? Why doesn't it look like the people I want it to look like? And it is, this weird kind of counterproductive thought of like, oh, it's too good.
Yeah.
Like it's a very weird thing for things to be too clean in that sense.
It's the most tedious part because you don't want it to look too bad.
I'm undoing hard work is what it feels like.
Yeah. But then you're like, I need it to match up. And you can't go to like, say like using like a grainy photo on a like a nice like 300 DPI HD picture. You have to go and take that HD picture and bring it down to level because you can't scale up. And if you do, it looks weird.
Yep.
because you're sharpening it and you're playing with colors, and then it's just like, well, now it looks like someone hand drew this picture.
It's such a fine balance.
It's a lot of work. I'm no like professional Photoshop artist, like,
which makes the memes better, probably.
yeah. I do it just because I enjoy it. Like, I spend a lot of time like making things and just kind of like researching things and doing stuff just to kind of keep me busy, because otherwise I'll be in my head, and no one likes to be in their own head.
Yep.
So I like to keep myself busy with little things that make me smile.
100%. That seems like the theme of myself and a lot of other people who sat in your chair and talked, is that like ultimately what we do comes down to like, as long as we're thinking about something else, we don't have to look inside.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just a kind of an escapism thing of like, it's for me personally, it's been like a really like conflicting two things of like, it is kind of the best form of escapism, right? Like it is better than going to the bar every night. Like it is better than alternative forms of escapism.
Yes.
But ultimately I probably still should also sit in the pocket a little bit and like not escape into this thing. And it's like, it is work, which is kind of bad, but because it's self-employment work, and like it feels slightly better than like, yeah, I'm not clocking in 1,000 hours in insurance, so that's a plus, but it is still 1,000 hours of work. And whether I do them in my bedroom or in some office, like, the same overbearing workload.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, by doing that though, you that's when you kind of become creative too.
Yeah.
Like our first few shirts, like up until the hoodie that we had, like I did all on just like my phone, and they came out pretty decent. I mean, people like them, they're buying them, so yay. But it's not like up to par to like what Jake Clark did with like the 4 shirts that we just put out recently.
Yep.
Like we asked him to do a couple designs, because like he came to a couple shows, and he likes us. He's a friend of the band. We love that dude. And like he made us, like, we originally wanted 3 and he came up with 4, and we're like, we love it. We're gonna take that one too. We'll do it.
Hell yeah.
And so we ended up printing 4 shirts instead of the 3 that we wanted, and we did pretty good on them. We only have like a few left of each.
Hell yes. So, are they available online anywhere for people to purchase?
No, we don't have an online store, because none of us have put in the time to figure that out.
Go to the shows and get one. I got one, and they are good shirts. Yes, I recommend them. I was going with that.
It's probably going to be me who has to figure out how to do the online store, because I do like all that behind the scenes stuff anyway.
Absolutely.
So
we can chat about that.
When I have time to go into it, I'll find it.
If I had a Squarespace sponsorship, I would plug it right now. I don't, but I do use Squarespace, and they are great.
Squarespace? Okay.
Yeah, we can definitely chat about this off air of like, I've set it up, I've sold stuff through there, and it's, and everything becomes more complicated than you want it to be, because that's the nature of life, but it is user-friendly. I've had a good experience with it. It's been simple enough.
Cool.
And it's, not that expensive to get set up and going there.
Well, maybe a Bearing Point online store will be in the future.
Ooh, heard it here first, exclusive. Beautiful. Speaking of buying merch, we just did the show with Within the Ruins, Dreamwake, at the Webster. Within the Ruins, I just did 2 of their videos for recently, actually.
Oh, awesome.
So the VFX for it, they were filmed and directed by Chris Klump. I think technically filmed by Black Wolf, directed by Chris Klump, and then I did VFX for it. But I feel like I have to plug that whenever their name comes up on the show, because it's
plug those videos.
Worth chatting about. Those happened. You guys opened the show. How did that show go? It looked sick from what I saw.
It went pretty well. We had a little technical difficulties during sound check. We got those figured out, luckily, before we played.
Anything like fun? Someone forgot a cable, or just like something wasn't working?
John's rig was like feeding back crazy, which is weird, because like he run like both John and Kanan run two noise suppressors, and that's supposed to cut the sound. So somewhere pretty much what it led to is the electricity of the Webster having everyone's backline stuff. Not so much like the local bands, but like Dreamwake and
Sure.
Within the Ruins, because they're both running in-ear rigs and like big like electrical setups that need a lot of power. So like they're still all plugged in, and like we us and the 2 other locals, Dream Scipio and No Iacine, we shared cabs. just to make it easier for changeover.
Yeah.
But like it was just ultimately dirty power.
Interesting.
So like he was getting a lot of hum from that, and it was just we just plugged him in somewhere else, and he turned off like his overdrive that he uses and just went through his head, used the overdrive on that, and it was fine. The crowd was there. It was a decent crowd. Not our typical type of crowd. It was a very metalcore crowd. A lot of people standing there like, bobbing their head.
Was Dream of Scipio before or after you guys?
Dream of Scipio, they went on third.
Okay.
So it went us, No Iocene, Dream of Scipio, Dreamwake.
That's tricky, yeah. They would like soften the crowd for you guys and be a nice like buffer between metalcore and you guys. But opening with you guys is definitely a different thing than people who bought Dreamwake.
I mean, we had a few people pit, and then there wasn't much pitting until Within the Ruins.
Sure.
Which is expected. It's a metalcore show. Dreamwake is on the softer side of metalcore. Like their music's heavy, but they have the saxophone, the sexy sax. I love that music, dude. It gets me every time.
They're the best. No Iocene also is the best. Yeah, the homies have been on here a bunch of videos of them as well.
They killed it. They're tight. Every band is tight.
Yep.
We play with like bands like that, and it's like we're caveman riffs. We're just like.
It's funny, if you ask all of them, they all say the same thing, though. Like, it's only because you're looking at yourself that your caveman rips, where I haven't talked to No Iocene since the show, or not about the show. I almost guarantee if I text them right now, I was like, how did you think you did? They'd be like, we were okay. Everyone else was great, but we were meh.
Yeah, it's a mindset, dude. You're always your hardest critic.
Of course, yeah.
And, but no, it was a good turnout, and saw a lot of friends, and like who came for the show, and
Hell yeah.
Came like the band, like we've known like Dream of Scipio, No Iocene, like we know those dudes. So it's like it's cool that we finally got to play with No Iocene.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb was at our first show ever.
Hell yes.
When like last year in April.
Hell yeah.
So being able to come full circle and play a show with him was cool.
Hell yes. Caleb's super supportive. I feel like he's at a lot of.
He's a nice dude.
He's always out.
I've never really talked to him, but like. We talked a little bit, and
he's the GOAT. But it's cool to hear that.
We talked a little bit at the show, and like, he's a nice dude. I love interacting with like genuine people.
Yep.
Because like, I feel like a lot of people like these days like, they can be into themselves.
Sure.
Not to knock like those people, they're very into their craft.
No, we can knock those people. Some people are not always the kindest or the most outgoing or friendly.
But like I get it, you're into your craft and you want to come off as like I'm this big thing, but like
sure.
You know what? Just be humble.
Yeah.
I like we're not the greatest thing. We go in, we do what we do.
Yep.
People like it, people don't. It is what it is. And I think that's to be said with like any band.
Yeah.
Like just go in, do your thing, enjoy what you do.
Yep.
And just have a good time. And that's what we try to do. Like when we put this band together, like the main goal was just to have fun with it.
Yeah.
We've all played in like bands like 10, 15 years ago, and we're just like we want to do this thing at our own pace. We know what we want people to feel when we play our music, and we just want to have fun with it. And that's kind of been our thing like the whole time. And it's gone well with us. We do things at our own pace, like we write at our own pace. We're not pressured into putting anything out. We do the thing.
I think that's the key to being a band, is trying to stay in that pocket of fun for as long as possible, because if you do things well enough in that pocket of fun, it does become work, and inevitably it does. But like, I think it's so easy to on day one make it a business, and it's like no. Yeah. It's not a business until it makes itself one, and up until then, it's like just have fun with it, because that's where you're gonna get the best stuff. Like I'm going back to you were talking about being like an Abercrombie kid on stage, and it's like what that elicited in my brain, why I like that detail so much is like I think that I listen to it like a ton of rap, like a ton of like shitty SoundCloud rap, and like metal has kind of become almost like a number two. I think it's still what I prefer the most, but it's not what I consume the most of.
Yeah.
To me, then the challenge for a little bit was like, am I like, which one should I be pursuing here? And it's like, no, I think the best version of me is taking what I like about A and what I like about B and mushing those together. And it's like, that's me.
Yeah.
And whatever that is. And like in this specific example, I think rap does a good job of like making everything a thing. Like I think in metal there's a thing of like, here's 6 songs, enjoy them. And rap, it's like, no. Every single song has a big rollout. And in metal, it's like, I think we do a good job of like having substance, where rap is like, it is just this one-off thing.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, okay, cool. Combine these two things, that's me. With you and the Abercrombie thing, it's like, yeah, that is just you. Like that is where you get the best version of you. And my big full circle ramble here was coming back to some bullshit that I'm now drawing a blank on, which is very cool and very totally fine to do on my own show. But it was something about, just like having fun. Yes, we're having like staying in this pocket of having fun. And as long as you can stay in that, life is good. And once it leaves that, things change pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, we're not here for a long time.
Yeah,
we're so enjoy your time here doing the things you love.
Yep.
That's all we want to do is just enjoy the things we do.
Yeah.
And but it's funny that you mention like liking rap and metal and like your interest in like SoundCloud rap mostly is that I noticed that a lot of like SoundCloud rap now incorporates a lot of metal.
Yep.
You have like your Ghostmain, your Corpse, there's probably a bunch of other rappers that I know of that
very interconnected worlds.
Yeah.
And the 2 fun facts here that always come up is one, that Post Malone was almost in Crown the Empire.
Yep.
Which is kind of like a tacky one, but it is like, that's how closely related these 2 worlds are. Is like there's an alternate universe where Post Malone never is a thing because he wanted to play metalcore for a much smaller audience instead. And then the other one is that in Suicide Boys, both of them come from metal backgrounds.
Do they? I didn't know that.
I know, especially whichever, I always get their names, Ruby. Ruby like is the heavier set dude, and he definitely is from a hardcore background, and that like comes out a little bit. But yeah, these two worlds are so interconnected.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's an accident. I think both of them are kind of like art forms that you get into when you don't like all the other art forms.
Yeah,
like they're both like countercultures in that sense. And
yeah,
I think,
they're definitely both countercultures in their own sense.
Yeah, and I think that's where you get the common there is the kid who doesn't feel like they belong anywhere, so they go, where are these weird worlds? How do I fit into them? And it's like, you also end up with fucking ICP in the world as well.
Listen, I love ICP. I grew up listening to ICP. I still listen to him to this day.
Hell yes.
And
I pulled. I don't listen to them. I don't really. But I also don't hate them. I just pulled one name out, and it just so happened to be the one name. That you have a bond affection
so many
for.
people hate on ICP because
all right, blood on the dance floor. Let's swap the name.
Oh my god.
There you go. That's the reaction I wanted.
Yeah, no.
No, sell me on ICP. What's the
So like
you were cooking there.
Yeah, everyone shits on ICP because they have that one song about like magnets and like, oh, how do they work? And the joke is like, is that like, oh, you don't know how magnets work? Like, but then going back and like finding out like what perspective the song is being done through, like it's they're doing it through like one of their kids when they were 5, like
Sure.
like, Dad, how do magnets work type thing. So it's like through a child's perspective. And like, they also get a lot of flack for, being like kind of trashy people, like the juggalos and stuff, which I don't go through all the face paint and all that fun stuff.
Sure.
I don't do that stuff. But like, yeah, a lot of them are trashy, but also like ICP is like heavy against like pedophilia and stuff like that. And fucking, I think it's one of the members of Blood on the Dance Floor. Is Davey Vanity in? Yeah. So like they teamed up with like Chris Hansen to kind of like get Davey Vanity finally arrested for grooming underage girls.
Yeah.
Like you have like this huge like fan base for that band, and they'll talk shit about like this band, but like this band's actually doing something positive, whereas like your band is doing something they shouldn't be doing.
Yep.
So
that's the thing about ICP. The story that comes to my brain here is that at some point in like middle school, my parents were still driving me to concerts. We're driving back from a concert, and we stop at like the rest stop, and of course in the rest stop is everyone else coming home from the concert. So my parents and I walk in, and everyone's dressed in black. They're dressed like kids in our scene do, and they all have their tattoos and their colored hair. And I remember like walking in, like feeling my parents like tense up of like, what the fuck are we getting into? Like, this is not our world. And of course, to me, it's like, oh, I was just with all these people all day. We're walking through, and everyone, like, we walk through the line, everyone like parts and says excuse me, and everyone's polite and friendly. And my parents had like an aha moment of like, oh, it's just people. They look different than me, but like whatever, we're all humans.
Yeah.
And I'm sure ICP is the same way, right? I'm sure if I went to the gathering, I would leave and go, yeah, it's not what I like, but good for them. Life's great.
Yeah,
They're just
pretty
kind of
much.
unfortunately the Nickelback thing of like, you just kind of got stuck with this thing.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean, they have their fan base. They have a big fan base. They're not mainstream by any means.
Sure.
But like,
they don't want to. Yeah,
they don't want to be.
relish in that,
They do what they do. They give
Yeah.
back to their community, and like that's the important thing. And it's funny, like you mentioned the gathering. Like I'm buddies with a couple of the guys in Nine Dead out of Jersey, and they played the gathering like 2 different years.
Damn.
And like ICP loves them. Like
That's all I've ever heard
yeah.
about it is great things. Yeah.
yeah. It's like if you are, you know, polite to like their fan base, their crowd, then the fan base is going to be cool with you. But if you're being a dick, they're going to be a dick to you. It's like, you know,
Who was it who got like booed off stage? It was some like famous woman singer person,
Yeah.
and I'm forgetting what she did or why it happened. But I remember thinking it was hilarious at the time.
Yeah, I
and
don't
I'm hoping that
remember
it
who
is
it was.
hilarious, and I don't look like a dickhead now as I.
I
falsely
feel like
remember.
I feel like it was Iggy Azalea, but I could be wrong.
Something.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But it was a female artist. There've been male artists too that have gotten booed
So,
off.
Yeah.
But like, just don't be a dick, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
I think it was some version of
Yeah.
that. They had said something critical about the fans of how they all whatever blah 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 critical insult here.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fans responded very vocally about it.
It's you know, and every group of whatever has their fan base that's like that.
Sure.
So like, I'm not a fan of Sleep Token. I make that publicly known, and I have a lot of friends that are
Now
like,
you've crossed the line.
I have a lot of friends who will be like, "How can you not like Sleep Token?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's boring to me. I don't like his voice. His voice just sounds kind of like a dog to me, like a dog whimpering. But with that being said, I love Deftones. So whatever. I'd rather listen to Chino moan than Vessel do his little dog sounding moans. Whatever. But Sleep Token's not for me. Guys, you can enjoy your Sleep Token. I swear I won't make fun of you
Yeah.
to your face. But again, everyone's got like their bands that they like, their bands they don't like. Every fan base has like their hardcore fans and you know their nonchalant fans.
Yep.
I try to stay nonchalant with like things that I do like, from sports, music. You know, I don't want to be too like 100% dive in, like I'm so diehard, because then people look at you and they're like, that dude's fucking annoying. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Like 90% of juggalos are fucking annoying. It was like, but you know, they can be cool,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, dude, just people just need to chill and like
Certainly,
things
yeah,
and not
yeah.
be overly diehard.
Definitely. I'm in the same boat with you. Yeah. I feel like I'm in the sports world, I'd be considered a fair weather fan or like something. And it's like,
Same.
well, yeah, because I'm not going to have a bad day because someone lost. Like, that's
Yeah.
just not how this is going to go.
Like-
also not going to have a good day because they won, but whatever. Yeah.
Like these guys are heavy into football, and in the group chat, it's always like, oh, who's playing tonight? What bets can I get in? Because they do like the
Dude, yeah.
sports,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck the betting thing is. And that's all the group chat is for like hours when it's football days.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Send stupid fucking memes or something. And they're like, all we do is send stupid shit. Like, I get it, but I don't want to hear about sports. And like, don't get me wrong, I like sports. All their teams are sucking this year, which is hilarious. My team's doing great, and I'm doing great, and I'm the only one who really doesn't care about it. That being said, I'm a Cowboys fan, and everyone's like, Cowboys fans are annoying. We them boys. Like, Yeah,
I don't know, dude. Liking the Cowboys and not Sleep Token is pretty vile.
I'm controversial. Whatever. No, but like I'm not that type of fan. I don't go around being like, oh, next year's our year. We them boys. Like I'm like, yeah, I like the team. My mom got me into them in 1995 when she was a fan, and they've been my team ever since. So I'm just too lazy to go switch teams.
Yep.
I know they're gonna go like 8-8 every year. They're not gonna do anything good.
Yep.
But whatever.
They're yours.
They do their thing, and I know they're gonna be consistent every year.
Sure. And in 30 years, when they do win one, you can say,
yeah. I could
years.
finally see him win a fucking ring that's not in the 90s.
Mathematically, it has to happen eventually, right?
Yeah, eventually.
You would think so.
Yeah,
they can't be 8-8 forever, but they're making a good effort at
it. It's like that Babe Ruth curse, you know, where the Red Sox didn't win for like 100 years.
Yeah,
after getting rid of Babe Ruth. Like it's the same shit. They're not gonna win for like another fucking 20 years. I don't care. I'll watch them here and there. I'll look at the stats, but I don't care that much.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We're coming right up on our hour here. Before I let you out of here, there are two questions I'd like to ask. I'm trying to think if I want to do one or both of them, but we'll start with one and see where life goes. Number one is, what are interests outside of music here? So we talked a lot about, like, obviously bass, getting into bass, all the music-related stuff. What's a part of you that is totally not music-related at all, or, kind of tangentially related, but what else are you into? What's something that would surprise me about the life of Josh outside of music?
That's hard because I really spend most of my time looking at music gear
day
to day. But
that's the one.
I used to be heavy into like Magic the Gathering.
Hell yes. Okay. Were you like traveling to tournaments? Like how heavy?
No, I never played in tournaments. I like to keep it casual.
Okay.
I recently sold a relatively small collection, which to someone who doesn't play card games would look like a big collection.
Okay.
But a small collection for me is like probably half this table. So I sold like half this table worth of cards.
Yep.
And recently, and I got 3,700.
Jesus Christ.
For what I had, which I the last time I sold my collection was to a buddy of mine. He still collects, he still plays, and but that one priced out at 6,600. So that was my rent for like
Jesus,
like 11 months.
Was this like because of the amount of cards, or were there rare cards that
rare cards? Prices are usually on what format is using them. There's several different formats in Magic. You know, you have like your standard, which is like an allotted amount of sets that are new.
Okay.
So it's like the newest set, like 8 sets you play standard, and like the best cards from that are usually the higher priced ones.
Sure.
Because everyone wants them for their decks. There's like Pauper, which is like it's all commons. You use all commons in it. Commander is probably the most popular format. It's like 100 cards. You could only have one of each card, except for like the basic lands, which you use to pay for like costs of cards.
So these are like different rule sets, kind of?
Yeah, different rule sets. But it goes by like popularity. They also have like different variants of cards.
How much did you like collect these with the intention of selling them, and how much were you just trying to be a good Magic the Gathering player and then ended up with a collection worth money?
I just like opening packs.
Hell yes. Yes.
Like I know a lot of people who just like they like cracking packs. So you know
I
you
got
go
into this in FIFA.
You go buy a box and you fucking crack them open.
Yep.
You go buy another box. It's addicting. Because it's technically gambling.
100%. Yeah.
I've weaned down. I've gotten rid of all my cards except for like 3 decks. So I kept the 3 that I'll play like here and there. I haven't played in months, but just in case like someone wants to play, it's like I got decks.
You got something,
and I know how to play them.
Yep.
So we're good. And I got rid of everything else because I'd rather spend my money on music gear. Music gear.
Was Magic the Gathering something you learned like from playing with friends? Were you like grinding YouTube tutorials? What's the learning process there like?
I started playing Magic the Gathering in high school before YouTube.
Okay.
So we would be on the online, and we only had like AOL discs.
Yep.
That's how old I am.
Dial up. Yeah.
Internet was on a fucking disc.
Yep.
So we had like the dial-up modem with the AOL discs, and we'd go on and we'd look up cards for like decks and stuff, and we'd just play casually. We had like a group of like 6 of us that played. So
yeah.
you know,
Okay.
we'd play each other, and we'd go to like lake compounds like all day, like in the summertime, every day, all day. There's like, I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been to lake compounds in a while, but there used to be like this little like 50 style diner all the way at the end next to like the Zoomerang and the waterlog ride there. And we'd go there and we'd just play Magic or like play cards, like actual deck of cards type games.
Yeah.
And we just chill in there all day because it was nice and AC'd and there's food right there if we got hungry. Play
Such a funny reason to go to lake
yeah,
compounds.
we'd play a few games and pack up, go hit a few rides. Like, cool, we hit our ride limit. We go back. And, you know, it beats going out and, like, partying
Sure.
in high school. You know,
Yeah.
we're just out having fun at this amusement park during the summertime.
Yeah.
We'd buy our season passes and we'd go every day for the summer.
Get your money's worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Season passes were expensive. They're more expensive now,
I
if
bet,
I
yeah.
remember. But,
Yeah.
like, back then in 2004, 2005, they were, like, fucking $75 for a season pass, which back then is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think they're like 125 or some shit like that now.
Even that sounds like relatively inexpensive for a season pass to me. Not that I've been to like compounds 1,000 times, but I feel like season passes are like 500 to 1,000. I feel like 100 is like what you would spend on a day. So
Yeah.
good for them.
But like
for being
it's
below
it's
my
definitely
price.
for your money.
Yeah.
Like you get your money back in like 2-3 trips at
Sure.
least. At least back then. Now it's probably like you get your money back in like a trip, but
Yeah.
just being able to go and like have a place to hang out, be out of like our parents' hair, you know.
Beautiful. And last question for it is, what's something that you're currently learning? So something that you're learning could be music related. It could be something about a cab, about like buying and selling, how to get better sales. Yeah, could be any skill that you are working on in the universe. But yeah, what's something you're trying to get better at? Something that you're actively improving at right now?
So it's actually work related.
Okay.
So now that I'm like doing like warehouse operations, I have like more responsibility to be compliant for like OSHA and stuff.
Yes.
And-
my nemesis OSHA.
Oh yeah, fucking OSHA.
I film a lot of like the production events, and so in the setup of events, I'm always having to work around of like, yeah, it's a cool shot, but they're climbing, and OSHA would not like to see them climb.
So
there, so
yeah, so we had an OSHA inspection, and we had a lot of stuff that we
Yeah.
had to fix.
they don't like a
And
lot of fun.
They don't. So like we are a brewery. We have confined spaces. They're tanks. You know, we don't go in them, but we still have to treat them as confined spaces. So right now, I'm trying to figure out how we can get around that. If there's a rework where like, as long as we have signage and no one's going in it, like what we have to do. So I got to write up an SOP or some shit like that. So, but yeah, I'm trying to learn how to not go kick some OSHA ass. Cause I don't, who cares about safety?
Yeah, dude,
No.
it's not fun at all. Safety stinks.
Regulations suck.
Yes.
But yeah, so
I'm glad they keep us alive, but also
Yeah.
don't enforce them when
So-
I'm having fun.
yeah, so that's something I'm trying to learn now.
Interesting.
I'm trying to learn regulations and shit. Trying to be a good employee, but
We need more of you. We need more people following the rules.
I hear that a lot at work, actually.
I'm sure. Beautiful. Life's great. Josh, where can they find you on social media? Where can they tell you that you did great today? Where can people follow you, keep up with you? Where can people with Bearing Point get tickets? Yes, give them everything.
So you could find me on Facebook by my full government name, Joshua Joseph Boucher.
Hell yes.
I'm on there. I'm usually kind of just chilling, but I post memes and I post a lot of our promoting shit on my own page. You can find me on Instagram, JBCT13, where I post all the fucking gear that I buy and trade. So you'll see something new probably once a week.
Not this week. This week's the one. It's
Not this
lasted
week.
forever.
This is the week. You get to see all my past. You can find me there. You can find the band on Facebook, Twitter, which is new. We just had our merch guy set up a Twitter because he's the big Twitter guy.
Cool.
So you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. Bearing Point CT on Instagram. Just Bearing Point on Facebook. But yeah.
We did it.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Episode 83 from everyone. Do I have anything to plug? Nope. I think we're good. Life's good. I guess hit me up for music videos, but whatever. Life's good. Have fun. We did it. Beautiful.